Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Beyond the Trades Talk Show. This is where we dive into what happens beyond the trades of the business owners in the construction industry. I'm your girl, Amelia Smith, and every single week I have the pleasure of sitting down with extraordinary guests who are making huge impacts in the world through their work, their purpose, and their values. Today, I have with me Randy Hurtado, who is the owner of DT Roofing. And he comes in with a ton lot of experience, not just in roofing, but he's a mentor to other roofers. He's a father, he is a husband, he's a granddad. So, I'm not gonna get into any more deets. I'm not gonna spoil it, but help me welcome Randy.
Thank you for bringing me on.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. It is so good to have you. So, Randy,
Thank,
tell me, there is so much that you have going on, but I just want to bring it back to the beginning. Like, how did you even get started in roofing and construction?
Completely God story. I was not even into the construction or roofing world at all. My mom had four boys. Three of them were in the construction related world in another state. And I was an IT security software specialist for 24 years. So,
Wow.
had a consulting company. We officed right next door to DT Roofing and became friends with my now partner, Derek Tanner, and where the DT originally started, the name came from. And just, became really close friends and started talking about business. And right around the time that I started to take an interest in his business, the company that I was consulting for that 24 years got bought by a private equity company, a software company, and I no longer had a job. And so it was an opportunity for me to either, cry about it or do something with it. And thought, well, you know what? I've done the whole geek thing for several years. Let me try the construction roofing side. And um, a lot of learning I had to take on to just understand the industry. But the business side of it, I pretty much understood right out of the gate. Uh, the reality is if you can understand relationships and communication, then you could pretty much sell anything. And so that was uh, that was 2016 and 2024. Here we are.
Wow. Oh my goodness. I had no idea you had like that huge jump from IT to roofing. That's amazing. But tell me, what were some of the challenges? Because I know that, you mentioned it was a learning curve, getting into the trade and everything. What were some of the biggest challenges that you had to go through? And then how did you manage to overcome them?
I think the biggest challenge was in my old career, I was dealing with corporate America. So you weren't really
Mhm.
while you were dealing with individuals, you weren't dealing with individuals who made the entire decision like we do in the residential roofing world. And so there was a lot of learning how to deal and circumvent we're in a storm market, so there's a lot of insurance claim knowledge that you have to partake in, and that's after learning the actual product. I mean, I literally called shingles tiles when I first started working with Derek, and so there's so much ignorance that I had to get past, but uh, it gave me the opportunity to really deep dive into the industry, understand how others were doing it. But then the way I overcame it was I went back to the one of the benefits of working in the corporate America space is you don't have the opportunity to door knock per se. Like you can't just walk into a building and say, I need to talk to the chief information security officer. That's a C-suite level position, so they're very protected.
Right.
Lots of gatekeepers, lots of flaming hoops to jump through to get to them. And so I had to learn in that world how to build relationships with the right people to get to the people I needed to get to so that I can talk to them about their infrastructure, how to keep bad guys out of it, and what have you. And so, not knowing anything about the roofing industry and sales in the roofing industry, I just simply employed that same technique to residential roofing sales, and I would say it's if we had to choose a single thing that was a shift in the company that gained our revenue, it was that, because it took us from an average of a $1.8 million company to this year we'll close $30 million in residential roofing revenue. And if I had to attribute a single category to that, it would be our relationship building with other professionals who needed roofing or who need roofing in order for them to be successful, like real estate agents, insurance agents, property managers. And by doing that internally and then teaching our sales team to have that mindset, we go from being your traditional storm market roofing company that just waits for the next storm and grabs the low hanging fruit and then starves until the next storm, to constantly having opportunity in front of us regardless of what the weather's doing.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I hear very, very successful people say all the time that your network is your net worth. And now
That's right.
you are yet again proving it that that is absolutely true. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna move away a little bit from business because we're not gonna talk just about business. So let's talk about your belief in God. Like
Yep.
we already know that you believe in the creator, like you're a big church man. What it is, how it is that you literally stay in connection every single day, making sure that you are grounded in your faith, and how has that helped you with the business?
So every single day I start the day I have an app on my phone that is a devotional. Right now, so each year it may be a different one. This year I'm going through reading the Bible through an app. It's actually the Holy Bible app that you can download on all app stores, but they have various plans within them that you can choose. And the one that I'm working through right now, it reads the Bible chronologically,
Mhm.
because sometimes you'll read the Bible from Genesis to Revelation, and you'll be confused, like, wait a minute, didn't that already happen or whatever? And it's because the books of the Bible aren't in chronological order, and so by reading it chronologically, it helps put things into perspective a little bit easier. You're never going to fully understand God's word, and even when you think you do, then you go back and read something again, and it comes alive
And you're like,
again, a different
whoa.
way. Like, I never even saw that before. That perspective was, that. So, but it does help. I also love studying apologetics, which, if people aren't familiar with that term, you're not apologizing for anything. Apologetics comes from the Latin word apologia, which is to give an account. And so I like studying the things that people get hung up on, like people that either don't believe in God or are on the fence. They get hung up on things like evolution versus creation, or
Creation.
the historicity of Jesus, or the flood account. Or so I study those things so that I can be a better witness for Christ, when I'm talking to somebody who that's their hang up. Like, you know, and I don't go at it from a standpoint of intellectually being smarter or right. I go at the heart condition is they're just as broken as I am, and so you have to approach it with love, and just like, so what I like to do is, let's take evolution versus creation argument, is I like to start from where they believe. So in order to do that, you have to study what they believe. So
That's true.
I've studied science as much as I've studied the Bible and creation theory, because I want to. If you just go in with what you believe, and you don't show them that you understand what they believe, then there's not going to be any connection. And so I immediately start. So you believe, this, you believe that. And they're like, yep, that's pretty much it. Okay, so have you considered, and then ask them thought provoking questions that are both theological but also scientific, because you want to both bring them to where your understanding is theologically, but you also want to help them understand the folly in what they believe, because it's not scientific at all, like, and using science to help them understand that. And then when you get there, to at least, because in my opinion, there are no atheists. The Bible actually says that in Romans 1:20, it says all creation knows there's a creator, so they'll be without excuse. And
People
so
people know what they don't. People know what they agree not to believe in.
Right. They know. And so if I ask a person like, so you're an atheist, yeah. Okay, so what is your belief system? Well, I believe in science. Okay, great. So then you're not an atheist. Well, what do you mean? Well, science says that there are no absolutes, and so you can't absolutely say there is no God, right? There is no creator. Okay, so you're an agnostic. And then so you've already moved them from atheism to agnosticism to at least say there's a chance, right? And then from there you start to break down. And again, you're doing this in love. It's not so I can be the smartest guy in the room. And I've talked on this at our church before and what have you. It's like if your goal in that conversation is to win an argument, then your heart's in the wrong place. So you just need to stop because you're not going to win that person over. You're going to come across real haughty, real prideful, and the Bible says that pride is God's most hated sin. So it's better just to not say anything,
And it
in my
comes before
opinion.
a fall.
That's right. That's right. So I like studying those topics because I could you be a disciple for Christ not understanding apologetics and how to argue those things? Sure, but you're not going to reach the real difficult ones. You're not going to be able to at least plant the seeds for the more difficult ones if you don't take the time get off of Sports Center and all the other things that clog our mind and just give God a chance to teach you some things.
Awesome. Oh man. Wow. That's a lot going on. Like I just learned something too. Yeah, that's a lot going on. I'm gonna look into taking the same approach that you're taking because I never
Mm-hmm.
thought about it that way. I never
Yeah.
thought about it to literally just study what they're hanging up with. Like I never thought about it that way. Usually I just study what I focus on what I have a struggle with. But
Mm-hmm.
you are right. Like if we look at what they struggle with, even if we don't struggle with it, then we can communicate better with other people when we're out there. Not even if you're literally not just purposefully witnessing, but even in business, you could do that.
Well, and it doesn't just stick with I've picked on atheists a little bit, but there are people in other faiths that um, I think you need to take the same approach. Like I've studied Islam, I've studied Judaism, and what they believe and how Christ. There's some commonalities that we can, Abraham, they're called Abrahamic religions for a reason. They all come from Abraham and
Right.
then grew from there. And so being able to talk to them and when I'm talking to a Muslim, I'm talking about how, I understand that Christ is the second most high prophet in their belief system is that he's like they love Christ. Like I've had Muslims tell me, I love Jesus. And so some Christians would hear that and go, "What? I thought you hate Christians." It's like, no, I love Christ. I just, don't believe what you believe. And then of
Right.
course you have the extremists. But let me fix something on my phone real quick. There we go. And so we need to take that approach with all people that what I would say aren't there because you got to do it in love. It's not you're going to hell. It's like I grew up in a
Exactly.
Baptist church that was like seemed like every sermon was telling me how I was going to hell instead of telling me how I could reach others with Christ. And so um, I think that's something that the church can do a little better is to preach love, but not to preach passivity. So, we need to be willing and bold enough to talk to somebody in love and say, hey, the reason why I'm saying this is because I love you. It's not because I'm telling you you're wrong or I want to be right. Um, so, but there are some good resources. ICR.org is a great resource. Creation.com is a great resource for studying apologetics, especially on the scientific side. Those are
Yeah.
great resources that I've
Thank you so much.
studied throughout the years yeah.
Thank you. Oh my. Oh
And,
my.
and
This
to,
is this is nice.
and to kind of land that plane, your original question said, and how do you use that in business? And so if you look at how Christ treats people, it's a servant mentality. And so we have a great servant culture in our company. Like I'm blessed to out of the 70 people that work for us that they have either vocally stated that they're a believer or they're at least respectful to it. Like if we close a meeting in prayer or don't have anybody, you know, we don't require, obviously legally, we can't require it for people to be a Christian in order to work here. And actually, I don't want that. Like if somebody has a talent, if somebody has something that can serve our customers well, I can care less if they're an atheist, a Muslim, a Jew, or a Christian. I want them working here for a couple of reasons. One, because they're going to serve our customers well, and two, it'll give me an opportunity to pour into them, right? So it's kind of selfish to say, well, I only want, you know, it's prerequisite that you be a Christian here. It's also illegal, but and so yeah, that's kind of our culture here is service, and it's just all the way around. Like we've been so blessed. Like I was just talking about this yesterday, how we have Microsoft Teams that we communicate with. And it's so funny how like one of our guys will say, hey, together, hey, my adjuster meeting at 2 o'clock is going way over. The adjuster was late. I got another one at 3:30. Can anybody pick it up for me? And I'll have guys falling over each other to serve their fellow staff member.
Wow.
No, you got that last time. I'll take this one, or management jumping in and going, I got you. I'll take care of it. I'll let you know. So that helps. It ultimately leads to us being able to then serve our customers well as well. And it's not uncommon within our company for our sales team to pray for our customers. Like they're in their home and they're having a conversation with them, and the customer mentioned something about their husband just was diagnosed with cancer, or their niece is this or that. And they all have a standing approval on behalf of the company to, hey, if you have an opportunity to pray for somebody, we're not going to have a problem with that. Like, but don't just force it on somebody. Like if we're sitting here out in the middle, would you mind if I pray for you? And if she goes, no, I don't believe in that stuff. No problem. But 99.9% of the time, the person's like, absolutely, thank you. Like, wow, And so
Yeah.
it's not uncommon to hear about my guys praying over a
Mm.
customer or a situation, and it's just because it's who we are.
I love that. And Randy, I do something similar myself. Like I pray for all my clients, literally call them by name. And sometimes I even do like real intercessory prayers for them, depending on what I know that's going on. But I never, I never really just invited them to pray for them. Like I do it behind their backs, but I never like invite them to pray for them. And maybe that's something I should start doing. Maybe.
If I ever lose a job because I offered to pray, or one of my guys offered to pray for a customer, I count that as a win.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
so
Absolutely.
don't be afraid to be bold in asking somebody, because like I said, even in your most bluest potential state that may not believe a whole lot, like I grew up in California, so I can speak from authority on that. Not to say that there aren't Christians in California, because I was a Christian in California, but even then I would pray for people that, and I still do, for people that do not believe, and they'll and I know they don't, but they'll be welcome and respectful to, and in their mind they're like, if that's what you need to do for you, great. But my prayer is that God uses that opportunity to touch them. And because we put a lot of pressure on ourselves as believers that we got to convert somebody. It's like, we don't do the converting, that's the Holy Spirit. We're supposed to plant the
True.
seeds and then allow the Lord to do his job. We're not God. So if a single person comes to the Lord because of that, 10,000 prayers, then we win, right?
That one. The 99 is okay, but that one.
That's right.
Wow. All right. So let's talk about how you balance your relationships. Like you have so much going on. You have the business, like such a huge business that you're running. You have the ministry part that you're doing. Like it sounds like an integration. So it sounds like it's part of who you are. But how do you manage all of that with family and, your wife and your children and grandchildren?
Mm-hmm. So it does help that several of our kids work for us. So I see them within our
You
businesses.
see them all the time.
My wife works for DT Roofing. She's actually over all of our supplementing and lead assignments. So So I talk to her probably a dozen times a day throughout the workday, and then of course when we go home, I generally have a rule that when I get home, don't ask me a question about work, because I want my wife at that point. I don't want the staff member who has a job to do. My wife has the same sickness as I have, is that she's a workaholic, and so when I get home from work, she may still be at her desk because she works from home, but she definitely
Yeah.
puts in 60 or 70 hours a week, and so she's still in front of her computer, because the work has to be done, and so um but that said, I'm we do a really good job, I believe, internally, of delegation, making sure that people have roles and responsibilities that they're held accountable for. And so when you have a team that does their job the way they're supposed to, then I don't have to be as involved in the day-to-day operations. It affords me the ability to go speak at a Limitless conference or a RoofCon or what have you, and be around the industry and learn. You know, there's this misnomer that as soon as you hit a certain number, revenue number, you got it, you figured it out. Like, no, you never figured it out. The it is always, you're always chasing the it.
Yeah,
And
that's
so
true.
I take,
You're
yeah,
always evolving.
I take the opportunity. It's the only evolution I believe in, but I take the opportunity to learn from industry, and oftentimes I learn from people who haven't even gotten to our number yet because they're trying a different way or they're doing this different thing. And so always be open to listening. Like, shut up and listen. Like, there's something, that they're imparting on you that you can take home with you. And so that's and then we have a ranch that we live on, and so a lot of my
You
uh,
guys have a ranch.
yeah, we have 60 acres in Texas. We have
I dream
cow
of a ranch. I kid you
Yeah,
not. I do.
yeah, we have cows, goats, pigs, donkeys, miniature donkeys, dogs, of course. And so that's the time when I'm able to really just kind of unplug. I put these same headphones on, and I'll either listen to a podcast or music or what have you. Zero turn, grass, cutting the grass, getting in my skid steer and doing some what I call skid steer therapy, where I'll go and do some work on the property that I need, and that's my quiet time. That gives me an opportunity to just de-stress and connect with God and get work done that I need done around the property. Um, but I still put in a good solid 50, 60 hours a week, but that's my normal, so that's not that big of a deal. Um, but but I still see I'm around my oldest daughter, who has two of our grandchildren. We deeded half an acre to them on our property so they can build a home. So two of my grandchildren live on, and no. And can you still hear me?
Yes.
Sorry, I forgot to put the do not disturb on, so I had a call coming through. Um,
Okay.
but so we get to see our grandchildren almost every single day too, and then we just had two more, um, and two twin boys that my second daughter had. So they were just born last Wednesday, and they're going to be going home. They were in the NICU because they were small, of course, twins. So one of
Yeah.
them was a little bit smaller than the other, but that looks like they'll be going home in the next day or so. We've been spending our whole week up
Praise
there,
God.
like, yeah. So, but that's a God story in itself. But so yeah, we definitely. And then my wife's love language is travel, so she sets up a trip because she knows that's the only way she's gonna just get me, like just me, like no business, whatever. And so we'll do like a cruise or we'll go on a trip somewhere where I'm disconnected, and then she'll
Oh
just
my
get one-on-one
goodness.
time with me.
Talking about a cruise, I saw your picture the last time about, I think it's the last one you went on. Like, were you
Yeah,
scared at all with the
no,
iceberg situation?
I wasn't, mainly because we're not, ships aren't built like the Titanic anymore. There's actually a meme out there that shows like it's it's the Titanic in the foreground, and in the background is traditional cruise ships, and it's like the Titanic looks like a tugboat
Oh my
compared to it.
goodness.
And then just statistics, like the last time a major any type of ship, whether it be cargo or cruise liner, was, sank, period, let alone hitting an iceberg and sinking. It's just the statistics. Like, have a better chance of dying on a plane, which that has crazy statistics. You're never, so I was not. It was a cool factor. I ended up, I posted a video to YouTube or to Facebook on that, and Inside Edition picked up the video and put it on their show. So my friend goes, "You're on Inside Edition." And I'm like, "What?" So sure enough, I look it up. I'm like, "What?" But it's fair use. They could just snatch anything they want off the interwebs.
Yeah.
So,
Oh
but
man.
but that was kind of, yeah. We took a quick trip to Alaska. Probably the last Alaskan cruise that I'll do. It just wasn't that appealing. I prefer the Caribbean. You know, so I like to be able to
Nice.
go out and hang out by the pool and not have to wear a parka when I go out on the deck.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I'm originally from Jamaica. I don't know if you knew that, but yeah, islands are really
no,
nice.
love Jamaica. I love the people. In our house we still use and I don't know if it's just a euphemism they use in the tourist community or if it's actually part of the culture, but the guys would say, "There's no problem. It's just a situation."
No, it's a thing. It's
Yeah,
a
and so
thing
my
down
wife,
here.
whenever something goes wrong in the house, my wife uses her worst Jamaican accent. She goes, "No problem, just a situation."
It's a thing.
So
Like we do say
no,
no problem all the time.
yeah. So, but yeah, so that's how we kind of, definitely spend plenty of time with the family. It's very important to us, and all my kids know that they have a standing option to build on the property if they want. But yeah, so pretty close family.
And I love that. Generational wealth, it is
Hmm.
close to my heart. I love
Yes.
it.
Yeah, but all my kids know that they have to work for it. There's
Yes,
no goodies
absolutely.
because,
Absolutely. But
yeah,
still,
none of this was given to us, and so we worked. My oldest daughter is the only. We have six children. She's 30. Our youngest is 14. And all the rest are adults. All my kids are adults except my 14-year-old. But my 30-year-old is the only one that ever saw my wife and I struggle, and she remembers when we were poor. She remembers when 29-cent hamburgers or 39-cent cheeseburger night on Wednesdays at McDonald's was a big thing, and we were scraping through the couch cushions to look for change so we can go and get it. So my kids understand that just because dad's had some success doesn't mean that that's guaranteed success for us. So we definitely
right.
employ a strong work ethic with all of our kids, and they know they got to work for it. It doesn't mean that Papa's not going to spoil those grandbabies, but yeah,
It's their responsibility to teach the grandbabies
yes,
like value of things.
that's
And
right.
I strongly believe that too. All right. So let's get into physical health. Like, do you even get enough sleep with everything that you have going on? And do you
So
have time to exercise and that sort of thing?
so my wife and I both wear these Whoop bands,
Oh,
and what they do is they monitor all of those things. They monitor our stress, they monitor our sleep, um, yeah, our recovery. We both do work out. I just recently got a home gym for the house, a pretty stout one that my buddy had at his house that I absolutely loved. I worked out with him for a while, loved it. So I said I need to get this for my place. So we just set that up, and I'm getting back into working out again. So something that a lot of people don't know about me is I was a 17-year firefighter. I retired as a fire captain,
wow.
so I was in stellar shape when I was a fireman. Problem is, when I retired, I stopped working out the way I did, but I kept eating the way I was, and so then I put on a bunch of weight, and so yeah, and so being getting close to 50, getting back into some semblance of being fit again is now a priority for me, and so yeah, looking forward to getting that. We're in the final weeks of finishing our new home that we built on our property, and so once that's all finished and that doesn't have my attention, then getting into a regular regiment is going to be really important. But yep, trying to
Oh
eat
man, I
healthy.
love it.
Yeah.
This is giving everybody who's gonna be watching this. This is giving everybody hope that you can serve God, you can have a wonderful family, you can have wealth and still live like a normal person. You don't have to be stressed out and
Well,
frustrated all the time.
I think if some people think that each one of those are not mutually exclusive, like if you incorporate them all into, your day-to-day activity, like I could serve God by serving my customers really well at work, right?
Exactly.
Because that's what I think it's Colossians. It talks about, you serve, you do you work like you're working for the Lord. And so, if you're working hard every day to serve well, then you're both working and you're also, doing God's work as well. So they don't have to be exclusive of each other where you're trying to figure out, how do I give God some time or give work some time or whatever? Like, how about do both, like at the same time?
I think the disconnect for a lot of people is they don't understand the dynamic of it, because I remember a few years ago actually when I was talking about my own business and I was telling somebody who had recently became a pastor that it's a ministry. He looked at me and he's like, how is that a ministry? Just
Mm-hmm.
because he was representing the church physically. I'm like, well, even though you don't see me going out doing Bible work like that, it's still a ministry because the people that I work with, they need God too.
Yeah. Well, the root word, so we know the book of Ecclesiastes and the Old Testament. The root word in Ecclesiastes is ecclesia, and ecclesia means the church, the people. A lot of people, when they say they go to church, they're thinking of a building, right? But the church is really the people. So if you're a believer, you're part of the church. I'm part of the church. We're the people. And so um, that when we're around people, we're being the church, and yeah, that's
Where
what
two or
sometimes
three are
people,
gathered.
some people will put in a box and go, okay, well, that church thing's great, but I do that on Sundays. It's like, no, you need to be doing that 7 days a week. And
Exactly. Yeah,
so
some people don't understand. Like, they think you have to separate, your spiritual life from your health and wellness, from your spouse and children. It's an integration, and I
mhm,
love the way that you talk about yours, because now people can actually see that it's not something that you just put one on the back burner and then focus on the others. You integrate everything, like you design it, you create it. Like, we're mini creators. You
mhm,
create what it is that you want.
right.
I,
or
I
you
love
or
it.
you prioritize things that you care about.
Yes, your essentials.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh man. Okay. So we're getting close to wrapping up.
Hmm.
I just want to bring it back to business just a little bit.
Sure.
What it is, what is your business's mission, and how has that evolved over time? Like, from where you started to where it's at now?
I think from where so obviously I came into the company while it was already established, and so I can't speak to like 2009 when the company was started and where it was. I can tell you from the way that we run the business is definitely different since 2016. It doesn't mean that my partner was doing anything wrong. It was just he was doing it differently, and by doing it the way he was doing it like most small business owners do it, and that is he was just getting by. Like he was day-to-day operations being reactive to what he had in front of him. And to his defense, he was single doing it on his own. So he was having to be production, he was having to be the CPA, he was having to be, do everything that the business requires instead of having help. And so um, So when I came on board, again, I didn't know anything about the industry, but I understood business, and so immediately started putting in processes in place. Processes are very important in any
Systems.
business. Yep. If you don't follow systems and processes, then you're doomed to fail because that is how you keep the train on the track. Because there's going to be a lot of crazy things coming at you, and if you have the same focus right in front of you, then you'll get past that. Um, but if you're doing everything like in the fire service, we call it freelancing. Um, if when a firefighter freelances and does his own thing instead of sticking with his particular assignment or his truck, that's how firefighters get killed. Is when there are times where we're inside an interior on a structure fire or we're putting the fire out, but one of my guys, maybe a rookie or whatever, is saying, "Cap, I gotta go out." Like my mat, well, we wouldn't just send him out. We would go out, everybody. Okay, well then everybody come back, and then we call into incident command and let them know that they need to send another team in because we're all exiting. And then we go out, address whatever problem needs to be addressed, and then get back with incident command about what's our assignment now, because they just sent in another crew to do what we were doing. What's our assignment? But no freelancing. You stick with the plan. And if you stick with that process, then people don't get killed. Well, just like in business, businesses don't die if you stick with your systems and processes. And so it's really important to make sure that that is a focal point for leadership, because it starts at the top. If they see you following processes, then when you employ processes to them, then they're going to do the same. Um,
It's true.
but if you're all over the place, then they're just going to lead by example. So that's kind of where we changed, or evolved over the last several years, as we went from being reactive to being proactive, and that allowed us to take on more business without dying on the vine, being super stressed out. And, we have a better idea now when we have to add to our team, instead of just haphazardly hiring people and then looking at our books and going, oh my gosh, we have way more overhead than we should have for the size company we are. But so it's all done purposefully.
Awesome. If you had one piece of advice that you would like to share with the upcoming business owners who are everything in the business, or who want to start delegating but don't know how to, what would you say to them?
So for the leaders, I would say make sure that the roles and responsibilities that you've self-delegated are the right ones for you. For many years, so God's given me a gift of being a stellar salesperson, but I was a terrible sales manager. But for years, I was a sales manager, right? Because we just did it. Like I was here, I stopped selling, but I started hiring guys and teaching them how I did it so that they could be successful. But I found out real quick that I was a terrible sales manager because my mindset was, if they're not doing it the way I taught them, they're doing it wrong. Instead of
Mhm.
realizing that everybody has can do things, maybe stay on the same path, the same guideline, but do it a little bit differently. And so know your role and know if you're the right person for that role. Because after I hired a VP of sales, we exploded because my guys communicated so much better with him, and he back with them, and so the relationships for them, were so much stronger. Not that they hated me; they just knew that they were going to deal with the wrath of Randy if they didn't do it exactly the way Randy did it, and it was a terrible. So that's my advice for leadership would be: is to know that you have to be in the right position. Um, in leadership to effectively serve the business and your customers. For salespeople, I would say never give anything away that you don't ask for something in return. And I know that sounds counterintuitive to everything we've been talking about with Christian belief, but I don't mean there's not a time for being altruistic and giving. What I mean by is, as from a business perspective, never give something away without asking for something in return, because when you give something away without asking for something in return, you reduce the value of what you gave away and you leave yourself open for being taken advantage of. So I'll give an example. So you're talking to that one customer, and we'll use the roofing industry. Obviously, I know you serve other services, but the roofing industry as an example. Then that customer says, you know, I really want to move forward with you, but the other guy's, he's going to do X, whatever X is, right? Because just fill in the blank. And if you guys can do that, then we're going to go with you because we really like your reputation. Well, you guys look at your margins, you look at everything, you say, you know what, this is an important enough customer. Maybe there's more relationships that can come from it, what have you, that you're willing to do that. You don't just go to the customer and say, Amelia, we've decided, I talked to my manager and he said he's going to do that. You say, Amelia, I talked to my boss, we looked at everything, and we're going to be able to do that for you, but I'm going to need a review from you at the end of this process. I'm not asking for a 5-star review. We'll earn that. I just need you to commit to giving us a review, because every review we get on Google causes the algorithm to push more customers our way. And then I'm going to need a video testimonial from you at the very end, where we take video of your house, the process, the installation, and then you do a little video talking about how you found about us, what your experience was, and if you would recommend us. And then we're going to put that all together in a video and use it on our social media so I can earn back that revenue that I'm losing by giving you what you're asking for. See the difference there? I didn't just fall on my face and say, yep, we're going to give you that $1,000 thing. I'm saying, hey, that $1,000 thing is valuable to me. And so I need you to do something that's going to replace that money. And it's not that difficult for you to do, to give me a review and give me a quick little, spend 5 minutes, on a video that my marketing team will go and turn into a really nice polished video I can use for marketing. But that will allow me to, in one way, shape, or form, get that money back. And then by doing
fair.
that, they won't keep asking for, oh, well, if he was willing to give that so easily, what else will he give easily? So
yeah, that's fair.
So those are my 2 pieces of advice for both leadership and salespeople, respectively.
Awesome. Thank you. So what's next for you, Randy? Tell everybody what's next. Like, what are some goals that you have in the pipeline that are coming up for the future?
So 18 months ago, our most recent venture is a commercial roofing company, and we already started that. We have all of we have all the management in place. We have the sales team in place. We have the technical team for doing the repairs and replacements in place, and we've already started waiting opportunities. So our next focal point, aside from continuing to grow our residential roofing company, is to grow our commercial roofing company as well. We have other companies as well, but we have excellent leadership in place that are growing those. We have a construction company that builds homes, does remodels, additions, patios, pergolas, everything. So that company's growing. We're doing a lot more home builds now instead of only remodels and additions. So that's exciting. So each one of our companies in their own respect is growing and dominating their market. And so we're just, from the leadership standpoint, we're just focusing on growth. And again, never focusing on growth for the sake of revenue, but growth for being able to impact more people. And that not only includes our customers, but also the staff that works for us.
That's awesome. Oh man, that's exciting. That's exciting. I love it. 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 All right. So we're gonna wrap up now. Thank you so much for spending your time. Thank you so much for chatting with me today. I am sure that everybody who is listening appreciates like all the insights that you've given, all the advice that you've given. And I have no doubt that people are probably gonna be asking you questions and stuff like that.
No problem. I welcome
everything has been super valuable, a lot of good lessons.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
Really appreciate you asking me to be on it. It was great seeing you in person at RoofCon. And if you guys are a service related company doing anywhere between $500,000 and $20 million in revenue, and you don't have somebody managing your books on a weekly, monthly, quarterly basis, you guys need to be reaching out to Amelia because she's stellar.
Thank you so much, Randy. Thank you so much.
No problem.
All right, that's it, folks. If you would like to come onto this show to share your story, to share your experiences, to help to impact the industry even further, then reach out to me. Let me know if you'd like to come on, and we'll be happy to feature you.
All right. You have a blessed day.
You too.